about the contemporary thing, but we're going to ground a little bit historically, if it's okay with you, and the background, that kind of thing. And welcome, welcome, welcome very much to Conversation. Pleasure to welcome to the program an old friend of Conversations and of the world, as I like to say on other occasions, Lenni Brenner. He's a true scholar in my mind and a public intellectual of the highest order. And he's written a number of books and pieces. He writes great stuff for Counter Punch, is it? And he's written a book, a classic, I think it's become a classic, called Zionism in the Age of the Dictators, which is still a classic in terms of Jabotinsky and so forth. He's also written a book here. I've got a copy of that. And let's see if we can bring it up on camera. Where do we have a robotic camera? Over here, maybe. Okay. This is a copy of the way it looks. It's called 51 Documents, Zionist Collaboration with the Nazis. That the Zionists were in collaboration with the Nazis in Nazi Germany is an incredible indictment. These are documents. And he has another one here. This is having to do with religion, church and state. And this is called Jefferson and Madison on separation of church and state, a major work on that area of concern he's followed. And he's written voluminously on many, many subjects, and it's always good to see him. He understands the Middle East very well. Lenny, so good to see you again.
All right.
You got started in terms of, you got on your website that you were an atheist when you were 12 and a Marxist.
No, an atheist at 10.
At 10? You became an atheist at 10,
Yeah, I
right?
figured it out. Well, let me put it this
Before
way.
your bar mitzvah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Because what happened, two things happened when I was a kid, right? And they're very formative. One was something that my family did, right? I was born into an Orthodox Jewish family, and they kept the kosher laws. And then one day when I was about 6, 7 years old, my mother came in and said that she bought a chicken, not from the kosher butcher shop, but from the regular A&P, because she figured out all by herself that a chicken is just a chicken, all right? So that was like...
Enlightenment set in.
All right, and then because by the end of the week, she came in and said, listen, here's some pork, all right? So we started eating pork, even though I still went to an Orthodox Jewish synagogue.
And your parents did?
Yeah. That's the way people really shifted out of orthodoxy into, in other words, understand only about 10% of American Jews are still Orthodox.
Is that fact?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's undisputed. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's 8%, maybe it's 10%, something like that, all right? Here in New York, it looks a little more. It's about 17% are Orthodox. But
interesting.
Yeah. Okay. But the point is that people check out on their own. They don't go to a course in how to leave Orthodoxy.
Right.
They do it their own way. But
early part of the 20th century, it would have been far higher on a world scale, the Orthodox ratio?
No. Well, in different countries, different circumstances.
Right.
But this is what happened with me. And then when I was 7 years old, my brother was bar mitzvah. He's 13. That's why I know exactly when this happened.
Right.
He got a bar mitzvah gift called The Story of Mankind by Henry William Van Loon. Okay. Now this was just something put out.
This is from your parents, right?
From an uncle. Okay. He got this gift. Okay. He never read it, but I, who was 7 years old, read The Story of Mankind. So I read all about Judaism and Buddhism and Protestantism and Catholicism, etc. And I went and I identified, since as I say, I'd seen the shift in my own family on the question of the kosher laws. I identified with the Protestants.
Really?
Well, in other words, I could see what they were doing. They were getting out of their orthodoxy, their equivalent of orthodoxy, right? Catholicism, right? And I went over to a Catholic church, and sure enough, I mean, there were all these guys praying in Latin, all right, so, I mean, I knew this was pretty screwy.
That's back pretty far,
too,
yeah.
All right, so once I had this thing where I realized, I'm 7 years old, but I'm reading this thing which is for semi-literate adults, they're being introduced to the world of ideas, the history of evolution of ideas.
And the family talk about this kind of stuff around
the
table?
No, just the book.
Okay,
See, that's the point. It's the book and this change in the giving up the kosher laws. Okay. And also, of course, I mean, you got to understand, even though I was an Orthodox Jewish kid, my upstairs landlord was an Italian, a retired iceman, no less. Classic story. Yeah. All right. I mean, you know, the Italians used to be the icemen, deliver the ice before they had. Yeah, that was, you know, mafia. You know, I mean, that kind of, you know, nice guys. You know. All right. And my next door neighbor was a tailor whose kid had pigeons. Again, classic Italian immigrant. You know, thing. So I was surrounded by Catholics, etc. You know. So I knew
Italian Catholics a lot.
Yeah, and Irish Catholics too. But they immediately in my
different.
But I'm saying in my literally above me and next door to me on both sides were Italians.
You had a privileged upbringing, right?
Huh?
You had a privileged upbringing.
Oh no!
I mean you learned a lot.
Oh
because you were surrounded by a lot of heavy-duty ethnicity.
In other words, Italian curse words. Which I will not use for fear.
Of course not on public television.
No way.
Public access television. Maybe you could. Anyway.
But at any rate, at the age, I say 10 because at the age of 10, I decided they had a thing where once a month, all the kids who the parents signed paper, the kids had to go off to their church or their synagogue for 1 hour. Okay, in other words, instead of getting out at 3 o'clock, we got out at 2 o'clock, but we had to go right to the religious institution. So I decided I didn't want to go. Why? I didn't believe in this nonsense anymore.
So did you stay in school
I
for
started to, and I got kicked out by the assistant principal. Get the hell out of here, you know. I mean, Mrs. Foley, you know, pious lady, you know. Et cetera. But that's my first action on the freedom of religion thing. Now, of course, I'm very deep into the history of both religion and atheism and secularism, which is larger than atheism. I mean, Thomas Jefferson and Madison both believed in a God. You know, they were deists.
They were deists.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Washington was also, no or not?
Hey, well, let me put it this way.
Franklin.
Washington was a nominal member of the Episcopal Church, but he refused to take communion in public because he didn't want to somehow imply that he, the president, etc., that this was an act for the public to see. All right?
The deists more or less thought God set it up watchmaker.
Yeah,
set it up
that's the classic kind of number.
And that was a lot of the founding people
all
who were into that.
Right. I shouldn't say all.
Not
I
all,
mean, you know, let me put it this way. Jefferson, Madison, and to a considerable degree, Adams sort of went this way and that way, you know. But, and Franklin, of course, was, you know, a risque.
He liked ladies.
Yes.
First man in the history of the universe that liked
now,
ladies.
but I believe it was he who actually proposed that they have a prayer in the Constitutional Convention. I believe it was Hamilton who said no. You know, no. And I believe it was Adams who said nobody in the Constitutional Convention proclaimed that they were hearing the voice of God, you know, that this was some kind of divinely inspired thing. I mean, the one thing that they were, all of them, very proud of was we designed this Constitution, you know, and not some church, okay? And then, let me put it this way, there's a specific, you know, everybody knows the Bill of Rights, but in the original Constitution before the Bill of Rights, I think it's Article 6, says no religious test for any office. Most Americans haven't looked at the Constitution in 15 million years. They don't even know it's there. Right? Now, bear in mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known right off
all
the
right,
top.
But, you know, I'm telling you, you look at the Constitution, it's in the Constitution. In other words, you know, there's no religious test for any job under the Constitution of the United States.
Major break with the historical past.
Yeah. What it was is really that Jefferson and Madison both saw the persecution of Baptists in Virginia.
Okay.
All right. So that was their thing. Jefferson personally, he said it right away, and again, he never, even as a kid, could accept the doctrine of the Trinity.
Okay.
All right? And that just gave him all these guys are jiving and conniving. Right? And, you know, I'm bringing it into our terminology.
They didn't use that term of the
No,
Constitution.
I mean, you know, but
you're
I'm saying,
jiving and conniving,
right,
Jefferson, again.
And understand, these are guys, Madison could read Hebrew. I don't know if Jefferson could, but Jefferson was absolutely fluent in Greek and Latin.
Really?
I mean, listen, in his old age, in his retirement, most of the time when he wasn't writing, I mean, there's no retirement for Jefferson, the writer, you know, but when he wasn't writing, he was reading in Greek. In Greek. Now, that's very crucial because on the one hand, they developed an intense aversion to clericalism, and dogma, right? And I mean, let me put it this way: Jefferson twice, once as president of the United States in the White House, took a razor to the Bible.
The Jefferson Bible?
No, wait.
That was not the Jefferson Bible?
That he did it twice.
Did he?
Because apparently, he let me put it this way, the first version was lost. I mean, no one has seen it. Oh,
really? I didn't realize.
He describes it, but he doesn't have it. But then in his retirement, he did it again. That's what's known as the Jefferson Bible.
Yeah, that's right,
Which, by the way, is in Jefferson and
Madison. You've got it in the book,
And it's not the only place.
Yeah, right, no.
And by the way, folks, if any of you people want to see, I want you to get the book because I want you to get all of Jefferson and Madison. But if you want anything that I discussed tonight, if you want to get it, email me at brennerl21@aol.com.
Say it again, just say we'll put it up. Go ahead.
Brenner, BRENNERL 21@aol.com.
Why 21?
Why?
Okay, no, I mean, maybe we shouldn't go into that. Why? Oh, yeah, okay, right, okay. Yeah, all right.
Okay. But at any rate, I mean, you know, that's what they gave me.
I'm sorry, I didn't, oh, I see,
Okay,
right.
I mean,
That's like, yeah, okay.
All right. But at any rate, what I'm trying to get at is I will send you any document that I have in here because I have it on my computer and can send it over there.
And does that include the things on the Counterpunch and things, your articles you're writing?
Well, anything. Anything that I have.
That's a vast
that's on the internet.
That's a tremendous offer, I'm here to tell you, because he writes like a demon. He's great at writing. He's one of the best writers I know, and it's really good. So that's a great offer you're making.
But I'm saying, okay.
Take him up on it.
All right. Yeah. Like, for example, in his retirement, now, James Madison is all the historians agree he is the, quote, father of the Constitution, right? In other words, Jefferson was off in Paris. He was the American ambassador to France, while Madison was running the Constitution through the Constitutional Convention, right? So he was like really the floor manager, all right? And then, to boot...
Was that 87?
Yeah. And then, to boot, there's no Bill of Rights in the Constitution, right? So Jefferson says, hey, Jamie, there's no Bill of Rights, and everybody's yelling there's no Bill of Rights. So Madison's first attitude is, look, the reason why there's no Bill of Rights is that a Bill of Rights won't do any good. Really? Because it's a piece of paper, and if people want to go through it, they will go through it. Doesn't matter what is said, all right? But Jefferson said, look, man, put it on paper. People will be able to rally behind it, you know. So Madison said, all right, you convinced me. If that'll please people, I'll do it. So he then presented the Bill of Rights to the first House of Representatives.
Yeah, again, another great break in historical
terms.
I
mean, let me put it this way.
Yeah, it really was.
It is the beginning of the American Revolution is the beginning
of the modern era.
Of the modern era.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's the first republic in centuries, because what you had up until that time, you had the Venetian aristocratic republic.
Well, yeah, the whole
Swiss
dynastic array.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm saying, you know,
yeah.
in other words, here, like you can't get a title from the government of the United States. It's prohibited.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't
it's in
realize
the
that.
Constitution.
That can't be a baron or an earl?
Nothing. No
the
titles.
earls were higher than the barons.
Well,
I
I'm
think,
saying,
yeah.
you know, the point is that these guys...
Shucks.
Okay, see, the reason for that is that when it came to religion, they were reacting against the Bible, all right, and their churches, okay? But when they were looking for historical examples of what they wanted, they looked to Athens and to the Roman Republic.
Yeah, the classic, yeah.
Okay, so they were, you know, and these guys are literally immersed in Greek and Latin, especially Jefferson. Yeah. Especially Jefferson.
That's
right?
the Trividium and
right.
so forth.
But
yeah.
I mean, you know, like I have one document in here called the Detached Memorandum. In here means Jefferson and Madison.
Yeah, you're
right?
pointing at that book,
Okay.
yeah.
Now what it is it's a memorandum that Madison wrote in his retirement. All right. He retired as president in 1817. He dies in 1836. Sometime between 17 and 36, he writes this memo, okay, about separation of church and state. Now, what happened was, when he died, of course, everybody knew this is the father of the Constitution. This is the author of the Bill of Rights. His writings are obviously got to be published. So they gave all of his papers. Congress said to a historian friend of his, you take the papers and you put them together, et cetera, all right? So he mentions the detached memorandum in one of his the historian's writings, okay? But he doesn't reprint it. It's just, you know, he mentions it, but he doesn't reprint it, all right? Then he dies, the historian dies, and this Madison memorandum, instead of getting put, remember, the historian who had him is now dead, the papers get put into the historian's papers. The memorandum gets put in the historian's papers, that pile, instead of into the Madison papers pile.
And what happened to it?
It disappeared until 1846, when a woman named Fleet, a historian, was doing a biography of the historian. All right?
Yeah.
And now, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, what a thrill it must have been for this woman.
Yes,
you know, to
indeed.
pull out
and that's,
the thing by the author of the Bill of Rights.
Right.
And what he's talking about is like, I mean, you know, just give me a second while I go and dig it out, et cetera, all right?
And we're going to want to tap all these kind of things about the separation of church and state to the contemporary Middle East, too.
Okay, but what we're talking about is Jefferson is the author of the Bill of Rights, and he is asking questions like, is the appointment of chaplains to the two houses of Congress consistent with the Constitution and with the pure principle of religious freedom? In strictness, the answer on both points must be in the negative. The Constitution of the U.S. forbids anything like an establishment of a national religion. The law appointing chaplains establishes a religious worship for the national representatives.
Is that part of the Establishment Clause?
No. You see, here's what happened. You see, here's something that people today don't really understand, unless they're historians, you know, unless they're specialists.
Okay, yeah.
When Madison presented the Bill of Rights, that was to affect the federal Constitution. The Bill of Rights did not apply to the states.
What is that? What are you talking
I'm not. In other words, Massachusetts had an official Massachusetts church until 1834.
The Bill of Rights didn't apply to the individual state.
Well, that was to you or to me or
only
to the state of New York. It only applied to the federal government because many of the states had established churches.
Okay.
And
that's
they
really
were going
interesting,
into
I didn't realize that.
All
yeah,
right.
Right, yeah,
saying,
that's really an
all right,
eye-opener,
now, well, all right,
Yeah.
but what I'm trying to get at is that Madison, of course, wanted it to apply to the states. I mean, you either believe in freedom of religion or you don't, you know. You got to go the whole route, okay? But he couldn't get it, okay? He only got freedom for the state, for the federal government, all right?
Okay.
But even there, he knew, given the hostility of these guys from the states to getting rid of their established churches, that he couldn't get up in Congress and say, "No, look, we don't need a chaplain. I mean, we're smart enough." You know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
All right. But in his retirement, that's what he's talking about. Not only getting rid of the chaplains in Congress, getting rid of the chaplains in the military on the same principle.
Right.
What is the government of the United States funding some sectarian religious chapel, chaplain, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what's crucial about that, and we'll segue into the Middle East.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah,
but what's crucial about that is this is the father of the Constitution.
I hear you.
This is the author of the Bill of Rights, and with Jefferson, the co-founder of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Only, as I'm sure some of you know, when they founded their party, it was called the Republican Party.
Just to make things a little more confused.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, they weren't. I mean, we're confused.
Yeah,
In other words,
right. They were not. Yeah,
they
I
called
understand.
themselves Republicans.
No, well, I meant we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what began to happen was their enemies began to call them Democratic Republicans, as opposed to we aristocrats, you'll say, okay? Forgive my British accent if you're British.
Well, it's pretty good. It's
Okay,
not bad.
you'll say
It's getting better,
yes,
Lenny,
yes.
with the
Good,
years.
there
Yeah,
you go.
you're
All
getting
right.
better. Yeah.
So, well, I've been there 14 times.
Right. In a very
Right.
heated context.
But
too,
what I'm trying to get at is that these guys can you imagine, all right, let's get on the Republican and Democratic. Let me just finish on that. They were called Democratic, they called themselves Republicans. Their enemies called them Democratic Republicans, and eventually the Democratic stuck, and the Republican drifted away, okay? Probably because it was obvious after a while that that's what we had was a republic. So, you know, it's kind of...
Where do the Whigs fit in?
But wait, the what?
Whigs.
The Whigs are named after the British Whigs.
Okay.
Meant liberals or something, you know, something like that. But at any rate, what happened was when the Democratic Party evolved more and more and more and more into the party of slavery, all right? So all the anti-slavery people call themselves Republicans as we're going back to the thinking of the founding fathers who were so concerned about slavery, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, right.
All right, but what I'm trying to get at is this detached memorandum, which every lawyer, I mean, should be familiar with. I don't know if they are. I mean, you know, but it's been quoted by the Supreme Court, and you know, it's absolutely certified. There's no dispute about it. The average American has never read it. The average Democrat has never read it. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. You know, I've been a radical all my life. I've been in a million different Marxist groups. No, 15.
When did you become a Marxist?
15.
15?
Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is that
for 5 years you were wandering in the wilderness.
No, I was an atheist, but I wasn't political until 15.
You weren't political until 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, when I was 11 years old, I supported the Stern Gang, the terrorist.
Oh, you did?
Zionists,
That's I was going to ask you about the family.
I mean,
were the families into the Zionist thing and everything? The family.
Yes.
Look, and we got to get to the Middle East,
all
you know.
Jews got interested.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Zionism after World War II. All right, that's when it happened.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
I was for the terrorist Stern Gang, and I defend that as the terrorism is the natural ideology of 11-year-old boys.
Well, yes.
All right? I mean,
and fox terriers.
An 11-year-old boy who's not a fox terrier politically, right?
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that boy. It's going wrong. Okay, but at any rate, what I'm getting at is, no, at 15 I became a Marxist. But my point is this. Every Marxist group that I've ever been a member of.
You've been a member of them all?
I mean, you know, but every group that I know that claims to be Marxist, the first thing they try to give you is, here, read some Karl Marx.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When was the last time that someone came up to you, a Democrat on the street, and said, "Are you a Democrat? Here, read Tom Jefferson." All right? Yeah, here's James Madison, the founder of your party. Read it, all right?
Okay.
When it comes to the founders of their party, the average Democrat in the United States is a complete ignoramus. The only contact that they have with them is in school. They brushed by them, if you know what I mean, right? I mean,
Ships in the night.
You know?
Well, you did write a book, say, The Democratic Party or the Lesser Evil, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
there was another book that you had dashed off.
I called it
another big
The
fat
Lesser
tome.
Evil because I realized that I didn't know a single adult that said, look, I believe in the Democratic Party because it's real, because it's true, because it's, you know, et cetera. I mean, there's nobody that believes in the Democratic Party, all right? They vote for the Democratic Party because it's the lesser evil.
The lesser evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
everybody just assumes it's got to be evil
look,
if it's
Americans. American politics is what I call the Chinese restaurant politics. Okay, you go
Chinese restaurant.
You know, the most American thing in America is
a
Chinese
restaurant.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh no, I mean
they're on every street corner.
On every corner. Right. Okay. Now, but you go in there and you can go to column A.
Yeah.
And you can get egg rolls and wonton soup. All right. But column B, you can get egg rolls but no wonton soup. All right. So in the United States, you can vote for the Democratic Party, column A, and get murder and gay rights. Or you can vote for column B, the Republican Party, and get murder but no gay rights.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But what they got in common is murder.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Murder, like bang, bang, and somebody
and the
is
biggest
dead.
murder is all the thing called war.
Yeah. Okay. Now, segueing into the Middle East.
Middle East. Let's go to the Middle East.
Bush has just come out with a new proposal to sell $20 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia and 5 or 6 Sunni sheikhdoms down the Persian Gulf.
How much? 20?
20 billion.
That's with a B.
B.
Okay.
A million. Listen, a million.
Yeah, millions.
You tip the cabbie.
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
$1
million.
Right. Okay.
$20 million. A big tipper. You know, right? Okay. To sweeten that, now that's not popular in the United States. Saudi Arabia has lost the mandate of public opinion in the United States after 9/11. All right?
They have, yeah.
Okay. So to sweeten that, the United States is going to raise the amount of money that
Israel
gives to Israel
on a steady basis and has.
Okay.
Yeah.
In other words, so it'll come down to about $50 billion, 20 billion sales, because they can't get away with giving money to Saudi Arabia, because the average American knows Saudi Arabia is money. Okay, I mean, it's loaded in money, right? So it's $50 billion. Right? Now, if you think about those two regimes, now, number one, why they're doing it, raising the money to, giving the weapons to, selling the weapons to Saudi Arabia, and giving them to Israel, is because they want to build up a front, and this is right on the T-shirt, no secret. They want to build up a front against Shia Iran.
All right, yeah,
that's why they're doing it.
Okay,
right?
all right.
So the result is that Israel has announced that it is in favor of the United States selling $20 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia.
Is it because they get something in the end?
Well, they get something in the end, but also they want Sunni
Saudi Arabia against Shia Iran.
Iran and Hezbollah and Lebanon, maybe,
okay.
because they're
right.
feeling that pressure
now.
now.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So here is the United States. Here is our resident president, Jesus freak. Now, if anybody...
Here.
If anybody deserves the name Jesus freak, it's Bush. Because remember when 9/11 happened, okay, he announced a crusade.
Yeah, he did say it slipped out, right?
Oh, it came out. Now,
it didn't come out in a over dictum or something. It came out in a speech.
In a speech.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for real. I mean,
they
I got
those speeches.
Hey, I got it. I mean, everybody got it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, you understand, in the real crusades, what the Crusaders did along the way as they bopped along, okay,
along the religious
was
line,
they grabbed the whole of Greek Orthodox Constantinople and looted it, okay, and then they grabbed the whole Jerusalem and killed all the Jews. I mean, they were beating the Muslims, but hey, you don't let a chance like that go by, guy. You're there and there are all these Jews, and you're here with the sword. So they killed all the Jews. Now, this is what this idiot, the President of the United States, elected by the people of the United States. Okay?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah.
Well,
and the Supreme Court, don't forget. We got to bring the judicials in.
Nobody challenges that he won in 2004.
Okay,
no, he won.
I know.
Now, understand that the difference between the average Democrat and the average American, this is by Gallup poll, all right, from 2003, okay? 67% of all Democrats believe in the devil. 67% of all Democrats believe in the devil. 73% of all Republicans believe in the devil.
The devil.
The devil, okay? Now, this shook up Gallup, who believes in God, see, all right? But the devil, you got to understand, for educated Americans, if you ain't educated, it's time for you to learn. Folks out there, if you ain't educated, for the educated Americans, the devil is a character in operas, in short stories, in plays.
Metaphor.
You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, who is the great, the best Mephisto in Faust?
Right.
You see what I'm getting at?
I know that,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. But for the rabble, okay, that's the ordinary American, all right? They believe in the devil, all right? Now, how much they believe in the devil, I mean, you know, all right, but they believe in they answered yes. The other guys, the 1/3 of the Democrats that said no. You're going to get my, in other words,
I'm trying to
it was
get,
a yes or a no.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But now we know the difference between the average Democrat and the average
It's 6
Republican.
percentage points.
No.
Well,
The average Republican has a nit-sized brain, and the average Democrat has a gnat-sized brain. Now, look, these are polls.
Yeah,
so
I know, yeah.
If anybody out there is an average Republican with a gnat-sized brain or an average Democrat with a nit-sized brain, and I got you wrong, you send a letter to me, and I will send out an email to the whole world.
Boy, you're getting better than Billy Graham.
Telling them all that you're a Democrat with a nit-sized brain or a gnat-sized brain.
Okay, now back to the
All right.
Iran, the counter thing by Israel.
So
let's talk about that.
Let's think about this a minute. The United States is giving weapons to Israel and Saudi Arabia. You know, selling, giving, in effect, it comes to the same thing. All right. Everybody who's at all literate knows that Saudi Arabia denies women the right to vote, the right to drive cars, etc.
The Wahhabi thing, yeah.
Yeah, all right. And now understand, I've been to Syria, to Lebanon, and to Libya, and Palestine,
right?
All right, and you got women driving cars all over the place in those countries, all right. This is Saudi Arabia, all right. Now, but what people like we were discussing before, you didn't know. In Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, remember that, the only democracy in the Middle East, that's what they're always babbling about.
Always it comes up, yeah.
In Israel, a Jewish woman cannot get a divorce.
Except?
No. In other words, you can, if I'm a Jew, you know, as far as Israel is concerned, I'm a Jew.
You're still a Jew, even though,
Yeah, but for me to get married or divorced, I got to get married or divorced in the Orthodox Jewish synagogue.
What's the percentage of Orthodoxy in Israel?
No. It isn't a question of what percentage.
Okay.
There is no civil marriage or divorce.
Oh, I see.
If you are a Jew, you got to get married or divorced a la Orthodoxy.
Well,
if you are a Muslim in Israel, you got to get divorced, married or divorced a la Sunni or a la Shia. If you are a Christian, by your church or not at all.
Civil, right, okay.
Because there's no civil marriage.
But can you get married by a reformer or a conservative Jewish rabbi?
Only Orthodox rabbis.
How did that come to be?
Because
or what's the implications of it?
You asked me one question at a time. Many of the leaders of Zionism were themselves atheists in 1948. But
Herzl was.
Wait a minute. But they, the Labor Party, who are mostly atheists, okay, they put in the Orthodox Judaism is the official religion, so that they would get the support of the Orthodox. Otherwise, they were worried that the Orthodox would say, why should we support you if you're not a religious state?
They wanted to emphasize. Okay, right, okay. A lot of those people were secular,
And a lot of the atheists figured, look, these Orthodox will come here and they'll smarten up. And they'll abandon Orthodoxy.
Yeah, right.
But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Okay? And let's put it this way. It's obvious that's what was going to happen. If you put up a flag, an Orthodox Jewish flag, the Orthodox are going to come, not the unorthodox. Okay? All right. So the result is that even though Reform Judaism is the largest Jewish sect in America.
Right.
Now, let me do it this way. Majority of Jews in the United States are not members of any Jewish organization whatsoever,
Is
religious
that right?
or anything else.
Okay.
Okay. Only a minority of Jews are members of any kind of synagogue or temple or whatever they call themselves. All right.
And the trend in that direction?
The trend is away from Judaism and towards intermarriage. A majority of young Jews today marry Gentiles.
Shiksa,
Shiksas.
Yeah, okay,
right.
really.
Okay.
Well, that could lead toward a vast loss of identity.
Well, I mean,
and
let me put it this
assimilation
way.
and a great melting pot.
I would go so far
People
as to
are worried about that.
I'll make a flat-out outrageous statement. Everybody get ready for an outrageous statement.
First time in his life he's going to make an outrageous statement. We're right. Get the cameras, get ready, get this down.
All of organized Jewry in America today is sociologically the dirty ring in the bathtub after the water has gone down the drain.
Could you spread it out a little bit?
In other words, a majority of Jews, especially young Jews and especially educated Jews, have nothing to do with any Jewish organizations. The Jews are the richest ethnic or religious group in America.
Is that
means,
a fact?
Oh, it's not even disputed. I mean, all the sociologists. No. Okay. Now, the point is...
richer than the wasps?
Richer than the wasps. Okay.
Richer than wasps?
Yes. Because you got a lot of hillbilly wasps.
That's true, down Appalachia.
Rabble.
Yeah, that's
Babble.
true, yeah.
You know, Okabillies.
But that's a true fact.
Yeah.
This is all documentable.
But I'm saying, see, the sociologists... Zionists, anti-Zionists, there's no argument over that.
Okay. I know you're following all this.
Okay. I mean, I can document it,
I
but
know
there's
you
no
can.
argument.
I know you can. Okay.
Now, my point is this, that as the richest group, they are the most traveled group in America.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, it comes with money, et cetera, education, et cetera.
Yeah.
They're the richest and most educated, so they're the most traveled. But they don't go to Israel. A majority of Jews in the United States have never stepped foot in Israel. They go to Britain, They go to France, they go to Rome, they go to Greece, okay? In fact, let me put it this way, about 40% have gone to Israel, but a lot of them go there because they got some kind of one of these excursion things. You go to the Great Pyramid, then you stop off at you know, in other words, you're doing the route.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
I mean,
right.
it's a you know, it's a package deal. You
right.
know?
Yeah.
All right. But even with that, a majority of American Jews have never stepped foot in Israel, and they are the most traveled group in the world.
Much less make Aliyah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that organized Jewry is in. And by the way, if you read, let's say, Jewish Week, which is a New York Jewish community paper, and actually a good one.
Is it Jewish Week?
Yeah. Jewish Week.
Not Forward.
No. Well, I read both.
Yeah.
But I find that Forward sometimes just completely misses stories that Jewish Week has first, etc. You know. I mean, let me put it this way. I disagree with both of them, but Jewish Week is a much better paper.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's...
Really? That's interesting. Thanks for the tip.
You know,
Thanks for the tip. It's happy. Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
okay, but what I'm trying to get at is that... now, I've lost my... you distracted my...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But,
Well, they all say the same thing.
I knew you'd get it.
They all say the same thing, which is, if you look at them every week, there is every week an article by somebody saying, hey, we're losing our kids.
Okay, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And where they're losing their kids is in college.
Yeah.
Because they read Chuck Darwin, all right?
Chuck Darwin, that's good,
well, I mean, you know, Charles Darwin sounds so Victorian.
Yeah,
you know?
right, yeah.
Chuck Darwin,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
They read Chuck, and, you know, I mean, they don't believe in every word of Darwin. Because, I mean, there have been developments since Darwin, but it's obviously right, it makes sense, etc. And they look at the Bible, and they, you know.
Because they're not only well-traveled, they're also well-educated.
Well, they are the most educated group. Let me put it this way. Every normal Jewish kid, when I mean normal, you know, isn't some kind of a nutcase, you know, literally a mental case. Every normal Jewish kid now goes to college. Yeah. They have broken the bound entirely.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, a lot of contributions coming from there.
Well, but that isn't the point. Now understand.
Yeah.
I'm a big one for education.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you're right. In other words, the poor need money in their pockets, but they need some facts in their head. All right. But the best argument against education is how stupid educated people are.
Really interesting.
Well, look, I mean, all right.
Yeah, all right,
You mentioned before you didn't know that there was a statement, no religious tests in the Constitution.
Yeah, but Lenni, there's an awful lot to know.
That's my point.
You know, there's a lot to know. Did you ever go in the library? I mean, there's a lot to know.
The problem with most...
Can't know it all.
Problem with most intellectuals is they think they know more than they do.
Yeah,
that's where they go.
They also want everyone to see through their own prism because they're a specialist in something and they know it all about that. And they get. I think that's the main problem. They haven't got any systems thinking. They haven't got
I work the other way around.
Systems,
I am aware of what I don't know.
That's the beginning of wisdom, I think.
Well,
don't you?
I mean, you know,
don't you think?
And I had a publisher tell me once when I was about to write Zionism in the Age of the Dictators. One of my publishers told me, Lenni, you're about to write most controversial book imaginable.
I think you've done one of them.
Well, you're about to write the most controversial book.
The most.
In other words, Zionist collaboration with the Nazis.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your enemies are going to look through your book for the smallest error and blow it up.
Mr. Foxman,
so there can be no errors in the book.
None.
Okay? So I had to present a photostatic copy of every quote, okay, in the context. In other words, out of the original article or document that I was quoting from.
That be this one.
No,
documents.
Wait. What I'm trying to say is that I had to present my publisher with absolute evidence. Okay, so you know, I'm not a modest fellow, I admit it. I'm against, the biggest sin in the world is pride.
I'm shocked. I
The
didn't
biggest sin in
realize.
the world
I didn't
is pride,
realize.
and
yeah.
the worst kind of pride is false modesty. And I have no false modesty. I am a
Right.
fierce
Yeah.
opponent.
Yeah, right,
Okay,
right. Yeah.
and what I say is, look, even God makes mistakes. His biggest was he made the world.
Yeah, I
right?
know. We
Okay,
talked on this
all right.
on the phone
So
the other day.
I
Yeah.
tell you, world, I want you to know that Lenni Brenner is smarter than God.
Smarter than God. I
Smarter
told
than
you I
God,
was running
much
for
smarter
God.
than God.
Yeah, he should be
Number
elected.
one,
Yeah.
I do not create worlds in a devil-may-care manner. Right? And since I'm aware that I can make mistakes, I bend over backwards not to. Right?
Like the writing this
Well,
book.
now,
yeah.
for
yeah.
example, Zionism in the Age of the Dictators was just
Yeah.
translated and published in German.
Really?
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you write anything about Jews or Nazis in Germany,
Yeah.
okay, the laws are very, very, very severe, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't, you know, they don't want any kind of anti-Semitic stuff,
Yeah.
anything like that. You
Yeah.
know? So everything that I had in my book in English, they went, my publishers went and found with the magnifying glass and looked for it in the German archives. Ach, yeah.
Your
you know.
copy editors did that before they put the sucker
Ooh,
out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
particularly
you know,
in German.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I found, not them, I found one tiny little mistake.
A comma.
No.
No.
I had said, it's a tiny mistake because it had nothing to do with Zionism
Yeah.
and the Nazis.
Right.
I had said that in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, 8% of the generals were Jewish. I was wrong. It was 8% of the officers were Jewish.
That's the only mistake.
That's the only mistake.
My God, that's
Yeah.
better than the script. That's scripture.
That's
That's
scripture.
scripture. That's scripture.
That's
That's
scriptures,
scripture.
yeah.
And it is. And you're right. They had the Zionist flag flew with the Nazi swastika in Nazi Germany. And they collaborated because they had a common interest in that. That's a heavy-duty charge. And
Well,
you sort of
look,
got
I mean, let me put it this way. About a year ago, Edgar Bronfman, who was the head of the World Jewish Congress, got into a lot of trouble when he was quoted in an article in the Jewish Chronicle in London as saying, look, all this talk about marry a Jew, marry a Jew, marry a Jew is beginning to sound like the Nazis.
that was Seagram's, right?
All right,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what I'm trying to get at is, Seagram's
in liquor.
Bronfman,
Yeah,
all right?
yeah. Right.
You know, I mean, he's hearing it. I mean, see, what's happening is with even top leaders of the Zionist movement is their kids are all educated and their kids are as likely to walk away. For example, I have a friend out in the West Coast, Yigal Arenz. He is a professor here at University of Southern California. He abandoned Zionism. His father was the foreign minister and defense minister of Israel. He checked out and is a professor in California.
Wonder. Oh, that's amazing.
All right.
We only got a few minutes left, Larry. Where's it heading? Where are we going? What's happening? What
Well,
is it?
I want to stay. I want to stay on the. Hold on. I want to stay. I want to stay with this Israel and Saudi Arabia thing.
We only got about 10 minutes left, so
I want
let's
to
get
stay
it
with
in.
that.
Let's bring it
All right.
around to a
Both
summation.
Israel, which discriminates against Jewish women, can't get a divorce. Okay. All right. And Saudi Arabia, which discriminates against Jewish women, both of them, Orthodox Judaism and Sunni Islam, are famous for their opposition to pork.
I think. Okay.
Right.
I'm just going to say.
So we have a
Wahhabism-
strange phenomenon of two anti-pork religions turn out to be male chauvinist pigs. Okay, they have invented. Israel has invented the kosher male chauvinist pig. But I want to take it a step further. I want to take it a step further. I'm going to be nasty. I'm going to be nasty to everybody. Okay? You, before the show, you said that you didn't know that Jewish women can't get a divorce in
No,
Israel.
I didn't realize that.
Okay.
I guess I did, but I had forgotten.
All right.
That's what it
Okay.
was.
All right. and I'm sure the average American voter doesn't know that.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, there's no particular reason for them to know it.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm sure that every Jewish Democrat and Republican in the Congress of the United States knows it.
Really? Okay.
Well, I mean, in other words, I know it,
Yeah,
and et cetera,
Yeah.
all right? And let me put it this way, if they don't know it, then they're...
What's the significance of
Wait
it?
a minute. What I'm trying to get at is that these guys are voting to give money and guns to a government that discriminates against Jewish women. Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. And Arabs.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just looking at them for a minute.
Okay.
Okay? And then, and I don't care whether they're men or women, these Jews in Congress, okay? And then, if you think about it for a minute, they all know, all the congressmen in the men and women in the United States know that Saudi Arabia discriminates against women. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, Lenny, 1 second.
So
you
the
have
moral,
to set
wait,
Wahhabism against, not Sunni.
Wait.
Okay, but
the moral of the story is, aren't they all a wee bit male chauvinist pigs knowingly voting to give weapons to two governments that they know discriminate against women? All right? And in the case of the Jews, that they know that discriminates against Reform and conservative rabbis.
Well, that's
okay?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in other words, what... Now, let me
and
tell you something.
beginning to look an awful lot like apartheid.
All right, but wait,
particularly in the
but
occupied
what
territories.
I'm trying to get at is, look, I had an experience. In 1999, Mark Green was running for mayor, for Congress, for senator. Okay.
Yeah.
And I went to a meeting, and instead of at the Forward, and instead of asking him a question about Israel, I asked him, "How come you, as a Democrat, what do you say as a Democrat about arming Saudi Arabia?" All right. Well, hey, it could be worse. After all, blah 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 blah, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, in 2001, he was running for mayor. Okay. So, and now National Organization of Women had a meeting, an election meeting.
Right.
So I went and passed out a leaflet documenting Mark Green and on Saudi Arabia. He looked at me like I was talking about Mars. All right. By the end of the week, 9/11 happened, and everybody was talking about Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is, the United States has been arming Saudi Arabia, the ultimate citadel of male chauvinism, okay, in the Muslim world, all right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You don't hear anything from now.
Yeah.
All right? I interviewed Lieutenant Colonel Martha McSally, who was the highest-ranking pilot, a woman pilot in the American Air Force. When she was stationed in Saudi Arabia, she had to wear a shroud all over herself. She couldn't drive her car. She had to sit in the back of the car when it was off the base, etc. She finally sued the government of the United States to abandon that. Okay? Now, that went on under old Bush, and it went on throughout the entire Democratic Party administration of Bill Clinton while he was having sex in the White House. The same guy was arming, made American pilots, women pilots in Saudi Arabia dress in a shroud, in a black shroud.
Yeah. Well,
all right?
Yeah.
In other words, when you start pandering to male chauvinism abroad, it begins to seep in here.
It's been there for a long time.
Right.
Male chauvinism has been characteristic of the evolution of human society.
What you got is male chauvinist Jesus freak George Bush and the Democratic male chauvinist Jesus freaks. And you even have male chauvinist pig women Democrats.
You couldn't mean Mrs. Clinton.
I mean all of them. Okay? I mean, when they all know that the United States armed Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You don't hear them yelling and screaming. Okay? Now some of them are. Okay? But none of them scream about Israel denying equality before the law to women.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
None of them scream. They're all talking about freedom, how they believe in religious freedom, religious freedom, religious freedom. None of them are talking about Israel denying equality to reform and conservative rabbis.
Well, it's been there a long time.
Well, but I'm saying, in other words, all their religious talk is nothing but hypocritical lies.
There's a lot of hypocritical lies abroad in the world, right? There's a lot of things are run by that, and that's another one.
All right, but what I find outrageous is that people here in the United States, educated people, okay, who should know
aren't aware of that, even.
Oh, no, worse, are aware of it.
And wink at it, yeah.
And wink at it. Vote for these criminals as the lesser of two evils.
That's one indictment that could be put in terms of a whole series of indictments that could be put against the system and the way things are organized and so forth.
See, Americans don't realize, Americans tend to vote against
the lesser evil.
All right, see, but that's nonsense.
Against the greater evil.
When you vote for a candidate, that's who you're voting for. There is no anti-Bush leaver in any ballot anywhere in the world, okay? You either are for the Democrats or against the Democrats, for the Republicans. You understand? But there's no anti-leaver.
Yeah,
okay?
Well, maybe there should be, huh? Or I don't
know. No, what I'm trying to get at
Yeah.
is that people have reduced themselves literally to the point where they vote for evil and think they're clever and smart and liberal. Freedom fighting guys.
Love me, I'm a liberal.
Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
And we're out of time almost.
All right.
So what do you think about what's going to happen in the Middle East? What are the prospects for the
America
Israeli
is
and
in
so forth?
deep
You got
trouble.
you have to get down to
America's
haiku.
in deep
you
trouble
think we
all
are?
around.
You think Israel's in deep trouble?
Yes, but
Israel
America
and
is in
America
worse.
is in deep trouble.
Yes.
There, and that is a place where it could be going out around the world, perhaps.
Well, look, I
Maybe,
mean, this recent business with Turkey shipping it out with the Kurds, you understand, the Kurds are a staple, firm base, theoretically, for the Americans in Iraq, okay? Because, hey, we freed the Kurds from wicked Saddam Hussein, who was wicked.
One thing you've certainly done. The trouble is we run out of time, Lenny, like always. We could talk for 1,000 hours easy like that.
Well, you can email me
document
at
it.
Brennerl21 at AOL.com. You can yell and scream and curse at me, and I may or may not answer you.
Yeah, and there's really a lot of stuff there on a whole lot of issues, all of which relate into a systems thing that we got some real problems in the Middle East. He's written on it better than anybody. He writes articles that just sing for counterpunch. He's got a huge documentation.
In the Torah, thou shalt not vote for a male chauvinist pig of either sex or either party.
And that's the homily.
No female male chauvinist pigs.
And that's the message of the homily for today. Thank you very much. Your pleasure, Lenni Brenner.